What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Operators Only podcast. My name is Kris Zizzo, one of the founders of Black Label Solutions and the Operators Only podcast. And today is a special day because I'm diving back into the podcasting world. I have not done this in quite a while, and I had to start this shit off with a bang because I've been listening to some podcasts lately that just make me cringe. They're so fucking boring. Everybody's afraid to say what they want to say. Everybody has some sort of filter over who they are, what they do. They're trying to protect their brand and their image, which I get it. But the reality is, in today's world, you got to come with the real shit because people are over the fake stuff. People are over the filters. And on this podcast, we're just going to come with some hard truths, some shit that might make you upset, and it's okay. Get over it. Be at peace with the fact that not everybody's the same, right? In Operators Only podcast, as we kick this off, we're going to talk about high-level business ideas, philosophies, positions on where people stand in this world relative to business, relative to life, relative to podcasts, relative to whatever it is you want to bring up, because the reality is everything in this world impacts our lives in one way or another. And that's exactly why I specifically chose one person to come on this podcast to start it out. Somebody who doesn't have a filter because he doesn't need to. He speaks the truth. He speaks from his heart. He speaks his mind. And if you don't agree with him, he's just going to say, that's okay. And if you throw some more fits about it, he's probably just going to say, fuck you. And I probably wouldn't challenge this guy because I think he's some kind of crazy black belt of some sort of degree. So he's also an ex-cop. He's also just a super badass guy who's, I'm going to stop. I'll let him introduce himself. Today, I brought on Dominick Izzo. He is the bull of MLM. He is an ex-cop and he is an active social media personality who's been featured on multiple news platforms. He's been growing his following since I've known him for the past 4 years, and the guy just crushes it. So Dominick, welcome to the show, and go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are,
God,
what you do.
I want to give you a fucking hug for that intro. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. It's great to connect.
Oh yeah, no worries. I had to let him know the truth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You covered everything great. Retired cop out here from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I do media content, if you will. I talk about law enforcement issues. I host a show called The Rants of Izzo, where it's free speech. We talk about everything from porn to politics. I'm a follower of Christ, but I'm not a Christian because I can't stand them because they're hypocritical times 10. I've been doing Wing Chun for the last 29 years. I'm a wrestling coach and all that. I never got married. I never have kids. So I do a lot of things to compensate for the stuff that I missed out on life.
I like your own introduction of yourself because you open the door for me to say whatever the hell I feel like saying. You already put yourself, you put yourself under the bus, so to speak, but in reality, you're not under the bus. This is just who you are and what you do. And I guess the first thing that I wanted to really bring up, because this is a podcast about business, and I want to start there, is you have been in the multi-level marketing space for quite a while. I've had a lot of discussions with you about this. When I first moved to Texas, I met Jessie Lee Ward, who is, I think, how you found me, because I was hanging out with her. She posted about that, and then we connected from there. Or maybe I found you, one way or the other. I want you to tell me a little bit about your position in multi-level marketing, how long you've been involved with it, and where your success is, because the last time we spoke, you're super old school. You're super relationship based. I feel like that's what MLM is, and I feel like that's what a lot of business needs to be. But people are going too far into the AI space. People are going too far into the non-relational lead generation space, and I feel like they need to get back to something that you have at your core for MLM. So tell me a bit about that background and where you are with all that.
Let's talk about that. First things first, I've showed my respect to you and your audience, so now I gotta get comfortable. Just to show your audience how much I value you and the host. Network marketing, MLM, the pyramid scam. Oh my God, you're gonna get rich quick in your first 10 days. I got involved with the company that I'm currently with in end of 2011. I was renting space out of a gym where I was teaching martial arts, and the owner kept trying me to, hey, I want you to check this out. No, I can't do it. And what he was saying to me reminded me of when I was 18 working at Blockbuster Video, and people would talk to me about Amway. And oh my God, did they make it sound like it was amazing. Oh, yeah. And I remember going to my parents going, dude, I could be a millionaire by the time I'm 19. No, stay away from it. I caved one day when he flat out said, listen, if you look and do my business, you enroll for pennies, I'm going to give you a month's rent for free. And it was $500. I said, I'll do it. Great. Look at it.
Game on.
Dude, I got sunk in. It was everything that I wanted, right? The ideal of you're going to be a millionaire in your first 6 months. All you have to do is X, Y, and Z. Product that I'm involved with. I love the company I'm with. I love the
what's the product?
I'm with Juice Plus. I've been with them for since beginning of 2012. It's a 52-year-old company, and I'll explain why I'm still with them in a second. Bottom line is I wasn't a millionaire. Didn't become a millionaire. Not even friggin' close in my first 7 years with the company. Ooh. I did a 7-year journey with them. Got frustrated. I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at the business. I was embarrassed of it. It was the same thing like everybody else. When I started to do it, it was the living room calls where you got to, hey, invite 5 people over to your home. I don't want 5 people at my home. I got a couple, here's the couches, living room chair, to get a dining room chair, and then somebody goes around with the flip chart. It was stupid. It didn't work. I didn't like the feminine energy in it where it was so huggy and lovey and this. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Oh man.
I walked away from it. Well, I didn't walk away from it. I let the business go down to the side because I just wasn't having any success whatsoever. I was making a few $100 extra a month. By definition, that's a bonus, right? If you're profiting more than you're spending, that's a bonus. Right. When I left law enforcement, when I was forced out of law enforcement, I went back into network marketing, but I went to a different direction. I went to a different company. I started to learn the business, and I started to see that, oh my God, this is sales. It's literally sales. And then once I realized, holy shit, my entire profession as a cop. Now, I already was in retail, that I was a bartender for 4 years before becoming a cop. So I had service, upcharge, knowledge. And, my job was to give you the greatest experience in the world as a guy. You come in with your girl. It doesn't matter who I am. I've got to make you feel like king of the world because I want your money. Then as a cop, I went, I am the greatest salesman in the world because my job is literally to talk people into handcuffs, giving up their freedom and having them think this is the greatest idea in the world so that they don't resist.
Right.
And I went, shit, I'm the best salesman in the world. The second I did that, that was it. Everything changed. My recruiting went through the roof. My sales went through the roof. I left the company I was with because I said, there was a certain thing I didn't want to be a part of, which was you can only get rich quick if you get into the company at the beginning. When it comes down to network marketing, we have the notoriety of it being a pyramid scam, which every thing in the world's a pyramid scam. The ruining your friends and family. You can only come in at the top and make money. So I went back to Juice Plus after being gone for a little while because it was a simple product. It was a rooted company, 52 years old, same CEO since its inception. And I had a better time with that. Went back in it, crushed it like crazy, got to the highest rank on compensations within 9 months. A year. I was the first person on my team in 20 years to actually reach a certain level. I was very proud of it because there was 2 things I did. I studied what the industry was, and then I was proud of it, and I did it the right way. When I didn't know what the industry was, I would have people like you, who's very credible, go, oh, you're in a pyramid scam. And it's not a pyramid scam. And I didn't know how to answer that. But so,
right. You got triggered.
100%.
You snowflake.
So now if somebody like you says, hey, it's a pyramid scam, I would go, no, actually, Kris, it's a pyramid scheme. And by definition, a pyramid scheme is a plan by definition. And literally, the pyramid scheme before I was in was patrol officer, then my sergeants above them, commanders, and then if you'd said, well, no company makes you buy into it to work, I'd say, yeah, that's funny. When I got my real estate license, all the money I had to spend up front, and if I want to go buy a McDonald's, I got to spend $250,000 million on a franchise.
Right.
What got it for me was Jessie Lee Ward too, and that's how I met her. One of the greatest human beings on the planet, and she will always be the greatest network marketer of the time.
R.I.P.
I was duplicating like everybody else was in the business, talk like them, this and that, and this fucking loud starts coming across my stuff, and I'm like, who is this Jessie Lee Ward that if you're old like me, you remember Diz from Cut It Out, and she sounds just like her. And I started to watch her stuff, and I went, this woman's a millionaire times how much? And I realized the system is duplicatable, the person isn't. What I started to do was, instead of niching down on everything, I was me. So on my social media, very rarely on my main stuff like Instagram, TikTok, you'll see that I have everything in one. When it comes down to like niche channels like a YouTube, I do niche down because the search engine and how people look for stuff. But I stopped fighting that, oh, you're an ex-cop and you do MLM. Oh, you're an ex-cop and you talk about social issues and trans people and this. I stopped separating those. The more authentic I was, and the more I found out that people do business with the people that they respect, trust, and they know that even if can like me, they can respect me. So
they know you're going to shoot straight every time.
Ultimately, I got that from Jessie Lee Ward, and I emailed her and I said, oh my God, I I hate you. You're a bitch, but I think you're the greatest person in the world. I'd love to say, because it's nothing special. Anytime I say that, oh, I had Jesse Lee's phone number, I never brag about that because the woman gave it to everyone. She cared about everyone and she gave her time 100%. To everyone. She was the most unselfish person on the planet. But I got from her the permission to be you. And I'm like, man, I can't stand fucking 30-something-year-old kid is telling me I'm almost 50 that you got to be yourself. I changed the way I presented. I took pride in my appearance, took pride in myself. I didn't want to wear the Johnny douchebag affliction shirt and flat brimmed hat and go out there and sell. If I'm going to sell you, I'm going to look professional. I'm going to know what I'm talking about. And then I started taking on the anti-MLM community.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I've watched. Not that I have any intentions or desire to go into MLM. That's not my lane. But I've watched your videos on YouTube because I wanted to learn. Well, here's the reality. I watched one of them, not expecting to watch more than that. I just wanted to see what your YouTube content looked like. I wanted to see if I could help you out with your production, stuff like that. What I found was that when I got into the YouTube content, it was strictly sales at the highest level possible. It's not MLM. You can turn off, you can delete every word of MLM in that YouTube transcript, and it would come off as one of the best sales trainings ever. And if anyone's watching this, I would encourage you to go over there and watch it if you're a salesperson, because it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're good at sales, you're good at sales. And one of the things that I took away, what you just said here in a nutshell, was that you are just yourself and you're just truthful. One of the things he said in the video was, I am totally going to tell you that this is a sales pitch. I'm 100% going to tell you this is a sales pitch. At the same time, I'm going to tell it to you and earn your respect by doing that. And that's what's going to land. I'm not going to tell you to come over to my house for some get together that should be fun and exciting. I'm telling you, it's a fucking sales pitch right out the gate. So
if I have Zoom calls and Zoom presentations, and the pandemic was the greatest thing for us because all of a sudden we went to Zoom. If I have a room full of 40, 50 people, do you know how much time I save where I go, just to let you know, this is a network marketing presentation, MLM, it's the dreaded pyramid scam you've heard about. Yes, I'm going to ask you to spend money. Yes, I'm going to ask you to be a recruit of mine. Dude, if I get half the people, if I get all of them dropping off, I just saved my night.
Dude, I had somebody in my DMs this morning trying to ask me some roundabout questions, and you probably get them all the time too in your DMs, these people from wherever the fuck they're from, India or something. Hey bro, do you want to make 10 G's a month or whatever? Like, you know, but I had somebody in there and I was like, dude, anybody who comes, don't come to my DMs and shoot me a DM, but anybody that comes in there straight shooting, I at least entertain it. But if you come at me with some roundabout bull, I'm going to be like, hey, not the space. I'm not even going to respond, but that's what I'm thinking. Right. So the fact that you are so upfront, you are who you are. If you see it on your social media, you don't downplay anything. You don't hide anything, filter anything.
I'm terrified too. I'm terrified of being called. Nothing pisses me off more than calling me a liar. I hate it. I refuse to lie. Have I lied? Of course. Yeah, no, I didn't cheat on you with that girl in my 20s. That up. Yeah, but I will not lie because I don't like what it does to me. The one of the biggest things is, especially with sales, and I found that sales is translatable to anything in life. Anything. It was sex and sales are the same damn thing. And I said this a million times, and sales is a masculine energy that when the one thing I couldn't stand about the network marketing space is how many women are in there thinking they're all going to be friendly and this. And if you're not just aggressive and assertive, you're not going to build a business, and that's fine. But I said, if I walk up to a woman in a bar and I go, oh my God, your shoes are beautiful. Tell me your name, this and that. It's going to eye roll, this and that, this and that. But if I walk up and go, listen, I'm going to you tonight. The response women give isn't, whoa, that was bold. No man says this. I would not do that. I'm not going to. Oh, hi. You tell me more about yourself then. When I started applying the same damn method, and it's a joke. My DMs they get filled with women, you know, and I know yours are. And what I do is responsibly go, listen.
No, mine's full of gay dudes. I'm not proud of it, but that's the reality.
I've got a few, but I'm not on Zizzo's level yet.
Oh shit. Not bragging
No,
rights there.
but women would DM me and I flat out go, either you're doing business with me or you're going to set up a time where I'm coming out to you. What is it? And you literally get the shocked. There's a fascination with not the content of what I said, but how I said it, because I'm not wasting your time. I'm bold and I know what I want. And I find that
so tell me real quick, tell me what percentage you're the online feminist, which I know you're not, but they say you are because you're bold in what you say. And you're a very masculine personality. You're just a straightforward guy. You're not the emotional, sensitive, let me get in your feels kind of guy, unless you need to be, right? I don't know. Maybe you are when you're off camera, but I don't think so. I think you're the same all the time.
I'm a Pisces. I get it.
Well, there you go. Okay. Whatever the fuck that means. But I don't know those horoscope shits, but I believe that's a sensitive, emotional person. But tell me, what percentage of your people that are in your network are female versus male?
Oh God, it depends. And I purposely target the women, and here's why. Many years ago, I had the privilege of knowing a man named Scott Knudsen, and Scott Knudsen's father was Ken Knudsen, and Ken Knudsen was one of Chuck Norris's top students. And Scott, it was just happenstance. We met at a bar, and I thought he was a clown, and turned out to be one of the most genuine human beings I ever met. He passed away many years ago, but he was such a good soul. Scott got me on a phone call with a man named Bob Wall. And Bob Wall played O'Hara in Enter the Dragon, the guy with the scar down his face. And he was this ornery 70-something-year-old motherfucker on the phone because I had a gym at the time and I was trying to get my gym franchise and this and that stuff. And he's like, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. Well, let me tell you how to run a fucking gym, because you cater to the kids. Well, if you cater to the kids, that's going to bring in the women, and you bring in the women, it's going to fascinate the men, and the men are going to want to be you and be around you, and they're the ones with the money, and they come in. So I bypassed the kid thing because my content is not for kids, and I went, I need brothers and men are, man, with this whole kind of bullshit alpha and a sigma and shit that's going on right now, it's be your self, dude. End of story. But it's the women 100%. That connect the men. So it's the whole ladies man thing. I want men looking, going, why are these women going over to his? Why are they losing their in his comment section? Because there are times I never throw the first punch, but I will insult the living out of a female. I'll attack her size, her looks. You come into my comment section, you make a swing. I'm gonna swing so that you're done. End of story. And I know sometimes that get guys laughing their ass off, and then they DM me and this, that, or sometimes women will praise me and that'll get the men going, what the fuck are you doing? So I purposely catered towards women with no nonsense. For the MLM, it was very easy. It was no nonsense. There's not a lot of men out there teaching the way I do. And then it was my content. It was, I can hate feminism. And that attracted a certain type of women as well too. So yeah, I would say conservatively 65% of the followers are women. And they follow for one reason, but they stay for another. So yes, I'm attractive, I'm outspoken, but then they're going to listen to what I have to say.
I love it, man, because if anyone goes and looks at your content, they're going to be like, how in the is this guy pulling in mostly females, right? It's so raw and it's so hard. The message is so hard because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just you speak a lot of truths, and that's the reality of it, right? But it's a lot of truths that people try to cover up because of social norms. And I think when you came on here, you kind of immediately threw out all of the things that people talk about you amongst, in the social community and probably in person too. You have some haters, I'm sure, in person, in social, who gives a shit though, right? So it's just badass because you're through and through yourself. And I think that anyone can get past any rough edge or outward, masculinity, which I don't think it's that. I think it's just that's who you are inherently. Then they realize that that's just who you are all the time, and it's straight. And that's a safer person to be around than somebody who's going to pitch some bullshit at them. And
we got away from that, right? In the 80s. Well, what is it now? The loudest guy in the room is the weakest guy in the room. I just watched a video with the guy named Wes Watson. I don't know Wes. I made a public apology on him because I misjudged him from some of his content. Then I watched his content and I went, oh my God, I agree with a lot of what this man says. He is loud. He's in your face. We had a, we had a 2-second DM where, I appreciated stuff. He appreciated it back. He was recently at an event where a weaker man criticized him, and Wes was great during the conversation until he got up and he's like, motherfucker, I'll break you in half. And the comment section.
I saw that shit. Is that the some tubby guy in a fucking blue shirt?
Yeah,
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I saw that as with an audience around him on the stage, right?
And the beta male in the blue shirt is on a podcast, the whatever podcast, criticizes women all the time. And I watched it. Wes was in the right. We've gotten away from the whole warning. Like, right, you and I are together and you're mouthing off and I say, hey, Kris, I'm going to crack the fuck out of you. Don't shut up. And we got away from that because in the 80s, it was the weaker man was just, they needed defending. So what did we do in the movies, right? Movies and television, just like we do with dads in the world, we made the masculine, loud, strong-built man look like he was a bully. He was stupid. He had no brains in his head. All brawn, no brains. So now we're at this point where people think that the stoic who's in the back of the room not doing it, he's the man to be around. Fuck that, dude. I want the person that shows all their cards at once. So you're like, okay, now I know you're a piece of shit. Dude, now we can hang. Now we can have a conversation. So that's all I offer. I'm never, it's the same thing with dating, and I know I'm all over the place. If I date a girl, it's going to be in the first conversation. Listen, this is what my faith is. This is what my political views are. This is what my sexual kinks are. If any of these, I don't want to be 3 months, 6 months down the road, and you're like, dude, you want me to wear
your fucking time.
I am not wearing a lampshade with a rubber chicken singing Ethel Merman Showman tunes while you're lubing up my ass. I told you. The point of it is, if you don't do it, why are we pretending for the social media presence and then not being what we are in real life? The only difference between me online and in real life is when the camera's off, I'm quiet. That's it.
Dude, it's because it's extremely hard to be who you want to be online in real life. It's super fucking hard. You know, if you say, I remember that. So circling back to that podcast that you watched, that I watched too, it's on YouTube or whatever. I wish we had a Rogan style thing going on here where we could pull it up because we'd play it. But what happened was the guys were asking, what is it that it was something along the lines of, what is the highest value that you should have?
Like, what is wealth to you? Define what wealth is to you?
What is wealth? That's what it was, right? And the guy's response was that he values his family, I believe.
My wife, my kids.
My wife, my kids, right? And Wes's response was, I value everything.
He segmented it down. And Wes Watson is somebody who, if you're like me, Italian, and you were raised Catholic, if you're like me and you were raised Catholic, you were taught to fear money and be afraid of money. End of story. Something I've struggled with for a very long time. And Wes Watson compartmentalizes things. If it's money, you better be all in. If it's gym, you better be all in. And if it's family, you better be all in. We went somewhere in fucking life, like that blue shirt guy that challenges Wes, said, no, I'm not rich. I'm wealthy if I have my wife and kids. Motherfucker.
No, you're not.
How are you going to? Yeah, until she leaves you for somebody that can actually pay the bills and support her lifestyle. That's a delusion that I fell into for many, many years. Yeah. And it needs to be changed.
It does need to be changed because I don't agree with everything that Wes says. I think he's a little bit rogue sometimes. I don't think you got to tell someone you're going to shoot him in the face just because you don't like him. But, that's what he does. But, the reality is he's right, man. And I say this all the time. You can't just be fucking stacked in one pillar and then the rest of them are all laying there on the ground. You're going to get left behind. I totally agree. And I have a fitness business, right? So, oftentimes in the past I dance around this stuff, but the reality is it just needs to be spoken out loud. If you're walking around with man tits, you can't feel good about that. It's not me being opinionated about you in a negative way. It's just the reality of it. Girls are not going to look at your tits that are as big as theirs and say, I like that. That's attracted to me. They would be a lesbian in that case. And we don't want that, right? This is the reality. You have to be good with your finances. You have to be good in your health. You have to be good with your family. You have to be even keel across the board. And it's totally gone. And people will cherry pick what they think is the best because it's too hard to be fucking good at fitness. It's too hard to make money. It's too hard to be good at family all at the same time. It's just, if it's too fucking hard, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to pick the one that is easiest, that I'm best at. Because
that's a problem that's spawned by women, because women, I don't give it how much they say it, you could be perfectly in shape, keep yourself very well educated, extremely financially successful. And what do women do? You intimidate me. I can't tell you how many. It's the same like the car industry. If women didn't exist, a very, very small percentage of men would be buying those luxury cars. We do it to impress women. I don't care who says what.
You think?
Oh my God, dude. 100%. Oh my, it's the same thing.
You don't think it's the loud engine and the whatever else that everyone says that they like most about it?
Motorcycle guy. I couldn't give. But you know, instead of women, it's you. What do they do? You tell me that women like dad bods? No, they like a man that's got a dad bod that gives them an excuse not to go to the gym. And what do we do as men? Oh, pussy! I better can do what she wants. It just sucks. Yeah. And one of the biggest prices to pay, and it's worth it. It really is. To be outspoken, to be an asshole like this, and to do this it's accountability, because anytime I say something, it's out there. It's out there, dude. And that's like, I lose people. They don't respect me. They don't like me. This, that, fine. But I own it. And I had to say it. And now I have to, you just ripped on Kris Zizzo's podcast. You just ripped on guys with dad bods. You got fucking tits, dude. What are you doing about it? You better go to the gym now. It's accountability. And then it's filtration. It's lonely and very lonely. Yeah. Because the people come, they go for the persona, they leave when they see the depth and the reality. So when you're like this, you have to be prepared that as much as like people like Dan Pena say, eagles soar alone. Yeah, they do. Wouldn't mind if I flock every now and then, but then again, too, I know the dangers of being around in that. So I welcome more people like Wes Watson who are authentic. Yeah. The Jesse Lee Wards who are authentic. You was authentic. I want to be, you can't be in a group of like you because we're all individuals, but I want to be associated with people like you.
Well, here's the reality of it. The people that you're describing, the ones that you want to be around, that would be in your flock, those people are doing with their life, to be honest. If you're really dialed in that way, where your faith and your finances and your money and your everything is even keel, you're pushing all of it, you don't have time to be hanging out with other people, really. That's not even your primary focus. You're focused on your life and the life of the immediate people around you 95% of the time. Or at least that's my opinion, the way I see it. So people like I always know that if I have your number, I can text you and you can text me when I want and when you want, and we're going to pick up the phone, because we know it's so few and far between, since we're so busy and we're doing that. When we connect, we connect. The other people, the ones that say, well, I value my relationships and I think this and that about it, they're too opinionated about other people. They're not focused on their own shit. That's why they're all over the place. How can you give what you don't have? How can you give what you don't have? I believe in giving. Then get more money. I believe in being healthy. Well, then give health if you want to. I just don't, and maybe that was it too, is I'm not the smart, I'm not an intelligent. I graduated high school with a 3.8 GPA because of horticulture and gym class. I went through my senior year with a fucking 1.6, and they said, fucking pull this shit up, you're not going to graduate. So I got a 16 on my ACT. I'm not a very intelligent man, but all I do know is the louder and authentic I am, the more it gives other people permission to be themselves. And to be honest, that feels fucking good. If somebody who made probably one of the biggest impacts in my life when I was about 22 told me, Dominick, we need people. People don't need people. And I went through that 20s and 30s and even early 40s being stoic and I don't need you for this. Holy shit, do we need people? If we're the same blood type, you can save my life with an organ transplant. We need fucking people. Babies, if they don't have human skin contact, they will literally die from called failure to thrive. I don't care who says what. If Chris Jones, who's a McDonald's employee, says, oh my God, you helped me, you made my day, that feels incredible. It's an emotional climax that I'm like, wow, somebody values me. And it's not insecurity, and it's affirming self-worth. I want to affirm self-worth in the betterment of somebody else. So I hate people who deny that shit too. Yeah, well, I mean, you're getting validation from someone that you basically freed. You freed them from, the social constraints, the social norms that they're sticking by. They don't have to say and abide by what the common person is going to do. No, you don't want to be the fucking common person anyway. The common person is just average. I don't want to be average. You don't want to be average. Nobody else should want to be average. You want to be above the standard. And if you conform, you're the white sheep and we're the black sheep. And I'd rather be the one standing out, the black sheep, all day. But the other thing is, why are you going to try to appeal to the audience that's not yours? You basically went through that in this whole first part of this podcast here, is that your audience wasn't yours when you first started MLM and you made $300 a month extra. And then you said, fuck it, I'm shifting. I'm going to be me. And all of a sudden you're successful. You're the top earner. Authenticity and finding your market and finding the people who do want to follow you for the right reasons is super super important, because now what's more important than not expending your effort as far as your finances and your time and everything else goes to a group of people is giving away that energy that you could be applying somewhere else. The energy is the number one thing that you should be focused on, and you're just gonna have fucking people drain you, man. My social media following is dropping, partly because I haven't posted in a while, but partly because a person who I was when I was building my following is no longer the person who they're seeing on social media, and that's a problem with them. I don't give a fuck. People message me all the time. They say, where's the old Kris? Where's the old content? There is no old Kris. This is the same one. It's just one of them had a filter and one of them doesn't. I like your stance on all this stuff. I think that anybody because this is a business podcast, I feel like, and I'll let you maybe chime in here for one last thing before we pivot, one last thought, but I think anybody who's listening to this podcast, MLM or not, whatever the fuck you're in, sales. Your business is sales. You need sales. Your salespeople need sales. If you're the executive listening to this, you should get your salesperson in this call, because this, I believe, is one of the most significant, impactful things that your salesperson can have is authenticity in their approach to how they sell. So Dominick, just real quick, I want to sum this part up because I have another question for you. In summary, if I'm a salesperson, what is your number one piece of advice to me? Or maybe you can give the top two, whatever you want, from somebody who went from not crushing it at sales to making $300 to somebody who's leading the charge in the MLM space. What's your number one recommendation for a salesperson?
Never fucking lie. Never lie. Tell them the outcome up front. I don't care if you're brand new at it. Hey, Kris, listen, you got 5 minutes? Listen, I'm terrified. I'm scared shitless. I'm new at selling cars. I'm new at selling fucking encyclopedias. I don't give a shit. I have to pitch you because I want to practice, and I'm not going to lie. I want you to spend money. I don't know how to get your fucking business. Can I practice my pitch on you? And if you like it, great. If you don't want to criticize it, great. If you do want to criticize it, even better. But my intent is I want to get you to buy my product, and I really want to practice on you, and I'm scared shitless. Can you help me? The fuck is wrong with that?
Is that your approach as a new salesperson?
Every time I tell every person who comes into MLM, why are you so stupid? Hey, if I send you a video, will you watch it? What is wrong? If you're going to make the mistake of calling your friends and family in network marketing, and I'll give a mini training. There's two. You got cold market and warm market. If you're doing your warm market, number one, expect that not a damn single one is ever going to involve. They're going to mock you. I don't care how successful you are. You're making $1 million a month. They're not going to do your business. But you can practice. You can go to everybody. Aunt Jane, Uncle John, this and that. Listen, I just got involved with network marketing. I know you think it's a scam. I know you've heard bad things about it. I have to practice my pitch. I'm really scared. I'm really nervous. Can I run it past you? Can you critique me? Can you give me objections so I can write them down and handle it on later? The fuck is wrong with doing that? Cold market? Cold market, the building rapport is the biggest bullshit on the fucking planet. Hey, Kris, yeah, I saw that you're into bass fishing. Man, I got this great Rapala reel, and I've got this bait caster. Shut the fuck up, dude. Hey, Kris, I see we're connected. Listen, my job is to build my network marketing team. I don't know what you do, but this is what I want. I have a network. You have a network. I would love to be able to promote whatever you're doing, but here's the deal. I do want you to listen to what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to sell. So I'd like to get on your schedule. And always I tell people, don't ask. Kris, I'd like to get on your schedule. Give me the best time. I want a 5-minute conversation with you. Tell me what you do. I will share it. If you don't want to listen to my stuff, great. But I want to sell you my stuff. So let me know how we can make this happen. When you start going, Kris, hey, would you have any time to have a conversation with me? No. You have to act as if
you're done.
Yeah, you have to act as if. And in the beginning, it's like if I went to a call and it's your home, your neighbors call 911 because they hear you playing video games. They think you're, getting in a domestic with your spouse. And I show up and it's your home. You own it. The problem is, unless I have the proper authority, not the fucking bully authority, but the proper authority, get the fuck out of the way, back up, we're coming in. It's going to be, and Mr. Zizzo, 911 was called. Your neighbor was probably an asshole and heard something. Do me a favor. I've got to come in. I've got to check things out. I have the lawful authority to. As long as everything is great, I'm going to get the hell out of your hair. I'll give you my command staff's number. You can call them if you have any complaints. But this is what we're going to do right now. The more you know your shit inside and out, every objection somebody gives you, you can handle. You don't got to do the fucking Andy Elliott kind of like over the top. Hey, I appreciate you. I get what you're saying. Don't do that faux shit. And he's good at what he does, but I just don't.
What do you think about that guy anyway?
I love his
real opinion.
His standards for fitness, fucking 100%, because it starts with him. He set a standard for his team. So if you care about yourself that much, you're going to care about what you're doing and your finances. I agree with that.
Do you think it's real? Do you think do you think he really holds people to that
I
standard?
100% do. I really do. I think
Really?
I think you have to be a little bit of a narcissist. God knows I am. The problem is the second that he's not, somebody's going to smell blood in the water, and there's going to be social media all over of, oh, he fucked me over and he's full of shit. So far there hasn't been. I like standards because it's transparent, right? I like lifting heavy weights. I committed to powerlifting by the time I'm 50, 51. I'll never have abs. So guess what? You set a standard, Andy. I can't be on your team. I fucking respect that. So being real with people, telling them up front off the bat what you want. This is sales. I'm trying to get your business. What do I need to do to get your business? Everything changes.
That's money right there. If you heard one thing, if you took one thing away from this podcast, send that piece to your sales team right there and have them train around it. Because team, if you're watching this, we got to go back through some of our cold emails and do a little revamping. Maybe start it up a little different way, split test it in the beginning, something like that. Because I think right now we have a lot of smooth entries that don't need to be smooth.
What is wrong with saying, hey, Jane, I've emailed you 6 times. On the 7th one, I'm going to send you a picture of my balls if you don't respond. Change your state. And as long as I can't believe it's 2024. People still send me emails on LinkedIn or this and that. Hey, Dominick, Izzo, great to see you. And then the whole, have we had a conversation yet? Have we had anything?
Yeah.
And I tell people a tactic that has been working for me like crazy has been serving others, right? Flat out. I've got a network of X amount of people. So if I see somebody, I purposely go look in somebody's social media, slide their DMs, and I use the voice notes. I don't use the text. I use the voice notes. Jane, I just saw you do this. Listen, I have a very selfish agenda. You do not know me. I want your business, right? I want you to spend money with my company, but here's the deal. I want to show first what I could do for you. And then I start listing my assets. This is what I could share whatever you're doing on my social media page, on my newsletters, on this, on that. I'll promote you for free. And if you don't have anything, send me somebody that is your way. It costs you nothing. I will tell you, 90% of the people I make that offer to, they don't, wait a second. So I have a podcast that goes out to 2.5 million people in a newsletter every day. You don't want to come on and talk about your business? Well, I don't know what I would say. This, I will lead you. Well, I don't know what. No worries. That's it. It's fine. It costs you nothing, but guarantee that person, it's just like dating, 2 things are going to happen. They're going to remember me for the difference I was from every other guy out there. And down the road, when they do grow their balls back, hey, Dominick, is that opportunity still available? Yeah, if it is. Now I'm in a position of authority. Play the long game and always serve people. So the 2 things, never fucking lie. And your job should be to serve others. The money will come.
100%. I agree with both of those fully. That's that's the truth. We have our fitness business where the first email that goes out is, please don't get rid of this email. On the bottom, there is a free healthy recipe. Every email I send is going to have a free healthy recipe. If you never want to work with us, totally fine. At least download the recipe. That's the first email.
Value. You're giving something away.
And then there's a free recipe in every one. And we try to keep it short and sweet. So I like that we're aligning with one of the best salespeople's guidance that he gives, because at least on the fitness side, we position those right. It sounds like
you have to. You know this. Physiology dictates your psychology. How depressed and shitty do you feel if you're not in shape? And it goes back to I said about the 80s and the bullies. You were taught that it's narcissistic and you shouldn't want to be in shape. And, and I'm not going to lie, it's a female thing. A majority of men that I know that are out of shape are in that way because they got married, they settled because they no longer have to work it because it's around. So number 1, they don't have to impress a woman anymore. And then number 2, they get guilted in by their wives or, oh, you gotta go to the gym again. You're trying to look better for somebody else. Go to the fucking gym with me. Fitness. That
shit happens a lot. That happens a ton. One partner is down for the cause, one partner isn't, and then they guilt trip and they try to hold each other back. It's a toxic environment in that household. That's just a lack of confidence, though.
That's been
it's such a lack of confidence.
As long as I can remember working out, that's always been the case.
Yeah. No, that's wild. It's wild. I want to circle back to a couple things that you said in the beginning, because I did a little bit of, not a little bit of homework, but I had some stuff that I wanted to bring up because there's so much shit going on in this world, and it makes me nervous a little bit, especially about the youth. And you being a cop and you being very opinionated from a toxic masculine standpoint, a buzzword, a standpoint of the way that you criticize spaces that you're in, like religion. Like, you have hard stances on specific things, and one of the things that I worry about is just the world around us, because as a business person, I don't know who, these 18-year-olds that I want to hire for my business. Who are they? What culture are they being brought up in? How is it different than you? 18-year-olds are not the ones going out to get referrals face to face, right? And you've experienced this in so many different ways, being a cop, being your personality online, having, going on these news outlets and having a hard political stance in a lot of cases too. You're not afraid to speak it. So I want to know, what's your current pulse on what, like, the next generation that's coming through as employees, as entrepreneurs? I mean, there's so many. I don't know if it's just the news that's making all this noise about it, but there's so much that worries me. And I don't say worry because I'm going to find my way around it. It doesn't seem like this next generation is going to bring the same value to the world that we've seen. And I pick all that up because, and you can comment on this individually, but I see these videos of these kids disrespecting law enforcement. It's a thing, right? I see these videos of these kids being okay with multiple genders and multiple social positions because they're pressured into it. Whether they believe it, that's okay, whatever. But most of it's forced. I believe it's all forced upon you as soon as you enter school. So these kinds of things, and then we won't even go to who our president is yet. We'll keep that clear for right now. But all these things, I have a really big worry about this next generation coming in. So I see your content. You, from the position of a law enforcement officer, the lack of respect. I think that what you started out with your coat on and then you take it off because you want to show respect to myself and the audience. Where are we at with our future employees and our future business people as far as you see
Your
it?
target's off, number one. I'll tell you where I'm doing. You know how many retirees are coming up that are going to need financial income? I am not even remotely targeting anybody who's under the age of 25. I'm looking at the people who are 75 who still have a computer at home who have people skills. Those are the people I'm going after. Yeah. I make sure that every time I go somewhere, fast food, customer service, that if I look for that phenomenal customer service, and I will make the biggest deal about it. I'll email, I'll call the corporation, I'll post it all over social media. I don't care if you're a McDonald's employee drive-through and you are please and thank you and sir, this and that. I'm calling the manager immediately. This person was fantastic. Recognize them. What's the store number? I purposely go out of my way for that because of the unbelievable amount that we have out there in customer service. The laziest, most entitled little f***ing cunts out there.
Oh man, it's fucking bad.
It's hard to be focused when you're confused. Didn't Lombardi say that? I think Vince Lombardi said that. It's hard to be focused when you're confused. Agree with me, disagree with me. I'm not looking to force my religious views down anybody's throat. I'm a Christ follower, right? This trans agenda, of which I'm not a transphobe. One of my closest friends is a adult trans woman porn star.
Why do people think you are a transphobe?
Because of how I talk. They stop listening to the message because of how loud I am. Well, one of my favorite human beings on the planet is a trans woman. But it's satanic in the way that I've said this a million times. I'm not a dad, but I would have disciplined my kids properly because kids and dogs have a very similar issue. They're part of a pack. And a happy dog is a tired dog. Any dog owner who lets the dog pull on them in front when they're walking and does not have the dog at the heel position, does not have the dog disciplined, does not have the dog know its place. Your feeding times are 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. or once a day on the clock. If you do not discipline your dog is not happy. The same thing with fucking kids. You can't argue with a 4-year-old who doesn't have we went from the Dr. Spock era, which my mother read from that book. We got our asses beat, classical conditioning, wooden spoons, shoes, 5-star across the face if you mouthed off to her, and you knew to respect your fucking parents. It was as simple as that. Yeah. When I was a cop, we saw it all the time. 911, domestic in progress, show up. What's going on? My 14-year-old daughter told me to go fuck myself. Do something. Well, it's way too late, lady. It's way too fucking late. So the kids got away with it because the government inserted Child Protective Services, which is a fucking scam and a half, that all the kids had to do is say, my mom is hitting me. Now they're in the system, and they're going to be paying a visit every fucking month. So parents got to be afraid of that. But you parents fucked it all up by doing the whole participation award shit too, and limited what coaches could have done. My first wrestling coach, Coach Cruz. I don't even know if he's still alive today. I'm 12 years old, shooting a double leg takedown in practice. The next thing I know, my hair is on fire. My scalp is burning because this man had a grip, a full fistful of my fucking thick black Dago hair, and he rips my head up and says, pick your head up, you commie pinko fag. And I knew what a fag was. I didn't know what a commie pinko was, so I had to ask about that. But you can't do that shit today. So
no, you cannot.
The employees, the parents did this by not having discipline, by allowing the schools to take over. All these mama bears, and I'm an independent conservative. Fucking both sides are fucked. Going back to where I was saying, it's hard to be focused when you're confused. When you take these children and you say you could flow whatever you want, it's not about their fucking gender. It's about them saying you dictate whatever. The sky is fucking red if you want. If you don't have the alignment of being a dog that knows your place in the pack, well, if God is your thing, like he's my thing, then it's, well, I don't need God, man. I am my own fucking God. I can do whatever I want. You skirt responsibility, and your fucking life is confused. And a confused person is a miserable fucking person. I don't care who says what. Mix that in with somebody whose testosterone and hormones haven't been solidified. It's insane. You parents did this and they studies show that when the parents went to 2 household incomes, because they had to, and you gave the kids off to daycare and this and that, the kids started to suffer. Because now mom and dad were out competing for paychecks, and then it was a work thing, and the kids didn't get to pay attention enough, and there was no in-home shit. The nuclear family was destroyed, and this is where we're at. How that's going to affect work? Dude, you get a 13-year-old mouths off to mom and dad. They get their driver's license, mouth off to the cop, mouth off the teacher. They show up to work on time when they want to. Look at all the retailers that are closing across the nation. How many restaurants now? We have Hardee's, Red Lobster, Cracker Barrel, several others that are closing. How many are going to be out of careers in the service-based industry because people are not going to fucking working, and they think, I'm going to go somewhere else. But the pendulum always swings back, so it's going to be a very painful time. So you got to find the people out there. This is where we, as people who are recruiting for our jobs, if you will, we have to recognize and pull out the best of the people who think that it's their time to go out to pasture. Now more than ever, 65 and older, holy do they have a place in our society.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think that we're going to continue to diverge the youth and we're going to have like a major separation, or do you think there's any saving it?
Oh, they're saving it because you know what? It's almost like biology, to where there's an innate, call it pheromonal attraction, right? If you're attracted to somebody, you can't, it's a compulsive. Oh my God. I think that Lord of the Flies only goes so long before your mature brain kicks in and you go, fuck, dude. Males specifically, boys crave praise. They crave coaching. They crave male peer, what do you call it? Mentorship. They crave that shit. That's why they take 18-year-old boys to go into the military, because if there's a war and they recruit you and me and they say, hey, run up that hill, go blow yourselves up with C4, go for yourself, get some drones. If they say it to 18-year-olds, it's, hey, I'll do it right now. So boys, they're just that like biological impulsive need to have themselves validated. Where are they going to get it around all that shit that's going on right now? They can't.
Yeah, they won't.
So
they won't.
It's going to have some saving.
I don't know if you know, like, I don't know if you think it's going to be, is it going to be a slow, like you said, is it going to be a pendulum? Is it just going to swing back and it's slowly going to come to and everything's going to kind of circle back to the norm? Or is it going to take something big to change it? I don't know if you know about like El Salvador and what's going on there. All the gangs crack down, like immediately goes from worst country in the fucking world to the safest country in the world.
Well, why is that?
There's massive change from a fucking leader who did not put up with any bullshit, went in, got criticized left and right. And I forget his name, the president there, but he just went to town on all these gang members. There was like 50,000 gang members in El Salvador that they threw in prison. Now there's structure. Now it's no bullshit, right? Is there any way something like that's going to happen, and then we're going to circle back?
Violence. The threat of violence or violence is the only thing we have left to prevent anything from being destroyed. Yeah, I don't support fucking Biden. I don't support Trump. I will vote for Trump if he's elected in office because I think Biden is just fucking ridiculous, and the Democrats are just
the guy's too old.
And even Trump is too old. I'm tired of this fucking age shit. We have a two-tier justice system. Law enforcement is so broken. Yesterday, I did a podcast on the fact that I misquoted, and I did an apology today to Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County, who I don't agree with a lot of the shit he says, but he was quoted in a news article of saying, if you kill a policeman, there will be no arrest, no Miranda rights, only as many bullets as we can shoot into you, period. And I went, are you out of your mind? Did we just have a constitutional sheriff admit that? Because the way that the Constitution goes, which is the one thing that's keeping us completely together as a country, is it doesn't matter if Dominick Izzo goes and blows up a fucking daycare center, rapes a fucking goat, and then kills a bunch of old ladies, I still have the right to due process. End of story. The amount of conservatives who were in the comments section of that going, good, we need more of that, shows that the liberal left has been so out of control for so long that now the mob rule conservatives are fucking thirsty for blood to a level that's never been. So you're going to have a boil over at some point. When that point happens, you're gonna need the bird box people. You're gonna need to know, we have a two-tier justice system available, and I'm gonna classically condition you until you can figure that out. And sadly, I think that the threat of violence is the only thing we have left, but I don't know how we're going to get to it because we, the people, would rather share fucking memes online than go, oh man, we just had a president, his former U.S. sitting president, arrested, tried, convicted. We 100% should be protesting in the millions outside of the White House, but we're going to share a fucking meme online instead. I don't know what it's going to take. But in my mind, the only thing left is that threat of violence for people to being on their best behavior. It needs to be focused to Congress on both sides. These fucking useless senators, the term limits, all this shit, but the fish rots from the head down. But us as citizens, it seems like we're waiting for that problem to correct itself, and it's not going to.
Yeah, I fully agree with you too. There's like you need some sort of repercussion for the bullshit. And I don't know, I've seen this over time, but back when we were in our election year in 2000, and there were prominent black communities where they're speaking out and, I'm going to vote for Biden, so on and so forth, right? And now I see as this election year comes, the communities have shifted. They've swung big time in who they trust and who they support. And I also notice, and I'm saying this specifically about black communities because it's the most, on social media at least, it's the most exposed group of people who it's all focused around either trans or race or whatever, right? So I'm just looking at the extremes. It's easier for me to see that and speak on this, but I also see I feel like culture there as far as nuclear family goes,
it's lost, gone.
Well, it's lost and gone. But for the ones who have a complete family, I feel like the black community, the men in there who are raised in a nuclear family, the most confident people that I know. They are so confident in themselves, their capabilities.
It's age. I ran for Cook County Sheriff out here in Chicago, and I didn't want in 2018, and I didn't want to pander to the black community, and I have my opinions about it, and I will say this: the young, urban, fatherless, criminal, uneducated black culture community member is the biggest cultural fucking epidemic problem we have in America today. They are the most violent, easily manipulated, impulse control gone out the window social culture that there is. When you talk to aged black men over 35, aged black women over 35, whoa. There's two groups of people that I love, and I serve them the most. the off the boat, so to speak, Hispanic culture that did cross over here legally, but they've been here for 10, 15, 20 years, and they work their asses off, and it's their little shithead fucking bitch bastard kids that are the problem back then. And the black community, the older black community, right. I'm very big into energetics. I say this all the time. I have, and I'll go off on a mini tangent. I'm sorry about this. I truly believe from my faith views in Christ, if we're in an energetic war and all this, I believe that the black community is Satan's biggest fuck target. If you ever look, there is not one culture on the planet. You go to church, there is not one group of people who unabashedly, unashamed, unapologetically serves and worships and glorifies Jesus Christ more than the black community. You walk into a black church, you get fucking chills. It is energetic, and Satan fucking hates it, so he attacks them more than others. That is my 100% pure belief. You listen to the black community, there's, oh my God, I love being around older black people who have lived. And they talk, and I talk a ton. I will shut the fuck up, and I get sucked in to the beauty of their culture and who they are. And it's these shithead, easily influenced fucking young kids that are a disease. And we have, here's the problem, because people are going to say I'm racist. There is a 100% correlation between crime and culture. Because yes, those little white from suburbia, Illinois, or wherever in the nation, they're the shooters. They're the fuck school shooters. So until we start having the honest conversation about, oh, there's a culture and a crime thing that's going on here, we need to connect those dots, no improvement will ever be made. But the youth in America is the problem.
It is. And I bring this up for a very specific reason, because, and it's funny that you say age, because I was going somewhere with this. When you say black youth is the problem, and as you get older, the wisdom is there, right? It's totally there. And I agree with that. And I use politics as a reference because I see the shift over these last 4 years. But now I want to bring it back, and I'm trying to make a parallel here, tie it to who we were talking about earlier, which is the Wes Watson guy, the guy that was opposing Wes Watson, because I see that and it's all culture. I say black, but it's just culture. It's who they grow up around, right? So that culture, the black culture, I see wisdom with age, and I see the opposite with white, which is fucking scary. God. I see a lot of young white kids that I'm like, this kid's pretty fucking wise. He's got a good head on his shoulders right now for being his age, right? I'm excited about that type of kid. But then I get to the fucking 35-year-old and the 40-year-old who's like, well, my family is the number one priority, as he's sitting there with his tits flopping because he doesn't have anything else. Right. And he's standing on the only thing that he has. That guy admitted that he had no fin money.
No, I know.
That's sad. Right. But it's just so funny to me how like the dynamic changes, and I don't think it's just by chance. I don't think it's circumstance.
Why are we so afraid to sit there and assign a trait to a culture? When it comes down to a pride parade, you could have Italian Pride Day, a Mexican Pride Day. You could have somebody like Sebastian Maniscalco who goes out. And he was raised 2 fucking towns over from where I live. And he talks about, when you're young and you get the coffee cake on the table and you want company to come over. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. And then when you're older, it's turn the lights off when somebody knocks at the door. So you can have that, right? You can have the humor, and you can have all the Hispanic stand-up comedians, or Dat Fan, who won Last Comic Standing by mocking his culture. When it's for laughs or for pride, we can attribute race to anything. But when it comes down to criminal activity, fuck, you're a racist. Why is it that you take? I'm going to say this flat out. If you want to look at, for the most part, older black men, it's like Morgan Freeman everywhere. That stoicism of just how they talk and the vibrations that can suck your brain right in, and the casual confidence, and you're like, damn. So wait a second, am I being racist by saying that older black men and unbelievably black fucking loving women, I say all the time, the two groups of people I love going out with the most, fat black women and effeminate gay men. You will never have a better time out of the bar dancing your ass off than those two. The black women will suck you in with all that fucking love, and the gay men, they're actually fun to be around. So why can't we sit there and say culture, race, sexuality, they're connected. The second we start addressing this shit, maybe then we can come together, but we're all too much fucking pussies to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that when I asked you that question about, is it going to take a big change to make this happen, or is it going to be the pendulum swing? I guess kind of to wrap this part up is that I really think it's going to be everything that the social norm is saying, anything that the left is saying, anything that the social standards are, as far as we see it, at least on the news. It's going to take everybody that fits into that category that we're speaking about, whether it's the black community, whether it's the gays and trans or whatever. It's going to take them saying the opposite in an abundance, which they already are. It's going to say that them saying, no, Trump's good. It's okay. I actually support him. Right. And then some isolated group, which is right now the majority, will become the minority because everybody else that they're speaking on and trying to pander to, they're like, I don't need your fucking help. I don't need you to pander to me. I don't need any sympathy. Get the fuck away from me. You're actually fucking weird, right? and I think it's so easy to see when you're somebody like yourself or myself who just sees truth for what it is and who people are. But I guess that's not the norm. I don't fucking know.
The bad thing is the mistake we made in 2020 was thinking that Trump was the savior of all, and Daddy Trump's going to fix us. I voted for him once. I'll vote for him again. I didn't vote in the 2016 election. The 2020 election was the first election I ever voted in, and I refuse to negate or accept the responsibility I have to contributing towards this country by saying, oh, some politician's going to fix it. It's going to take, I don't want violence to happen, but it's going to take a tragedy, because I'm sure you remember 9/11. After 9/11, nobody fucking saw skin color. Dude, I was 26 years old. It was my first year as a cop. We were hugging everybody. We loved each other. Everybody came together. I fucking hate that a tragedy like that, just brought us together. We don't have that. We don't. How stupid are we as humans to sit there and think that because of what I post on social media, you can't stand me? But guess what? You're a piece of shit too. But if I saw you on the street, I'm going to help you. And that was a decision I made years ago, right? I never wanted to treat somebody with disrespect. Like I said, I'll never throw the first punch, but I don't care if you're a fuck piece of shit. If you help, call it karma, call it my responsibility, call it guilt. I don't care what it is. My job is to fucking help, period. And we just don't do that. And that's the one thing that social media did is it created a world of me. So I don't know what it's going to take, but it's going to be a rude awakening for those who have to learn the hard way.
100%. Part of my business is in lead gen. It's in content creation. We do kind of top to bottom stuff, and everybody needs leads. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to get leads? Well, I'm doing organic social media posting. What do your posts look like? Well, it's about me on this roof, and it's about me in this car, and it's about this. No one gives a fuck about you. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not that important. I'm not important. Dominick Izzo isn't important. We're not that important. None of us. Everyone cares about themselves. And the second you start realizing that, you're going to start making some sales. You're going to start converting some people. What can you do for me? That's all I care about. Right. And the reality is I do care about a lot of people, and you do too, but not many people are like that.
No, it costs a lot. It costs a lot being caring about people. You do. It's not without heartache. It's not without sadness. It's not without depression. You talked about before, if I was a guy who's in my feelings, oh my God, dude. Yeah, I'm a Italian Pisces. It's like one
of the highly volatile emotions at all times.
God, and it's like depression used to hit in, and all this kind of shit. Oh, that person left, or this person didn't respond. The second that you realize that you're going to go it alone in anything. I don't care who says what. You're born alone. You're going to die alone, and I don't know what it is for somebody else. All I do know for me is that I can't obviously take anything with me. I've lost it. I've made it. I've lost it all. I've had a phenomenal fucking credit score. Had it got in the dumpster, all this shit. And the only thing I have, it's not whether or not somebody likes me. I'm terrified of two fucking things. I'm terrified of Christ coming back and saying, I never knew you. That scares the shit out of me on a daily fucking basis. The other thing,
and trans porn stars.
Yeah, absolutely. At my funeral, I want people going, this guy was a fucking cocksucking piece of shit, but he was real, and I respect him. I don't care about people's love. I would rather be fucking respected than feared or loved. I don't care about being fucking hated or anything else. That's it. So I'm terrified of not being respected.
Well, if you're in pursuit of people loving you and caring about you all the time, you're not doing them a justice. You're a sacrificial person for that reason. You have to sacrifice the things that you want and desire, which is people's love, in order to help them. And they may not see it. It's just like any teenager that says, I hate my mom, I hate my dad. Why? Because they don't give me this, they don't let me do that. Well, you're going to grow up to be an excellent fucking person. And when you turn 25 years old, 30 years old, you're going to be like, damn, I'm so glad that I had that. Because my friend who is now on OnlyFans and snorts coke in their 30s didn't fucking have that, you know? Didn't have the nuclear family, didn't have the parents to tell them, don't fucking do that. You're going to get your phone taken away, whatever the fuck it is, right? So you're sacrificial in that way, just like a good parent is, you know? But to you, it's not your kids. To you, it's just the community around you. So I want to get some, real quick, some content worthy. I know you have probably quite a few in the bank, but give me some sort of Alex Jones conspiracy that you believe in, if you believe in any. And maybe not, because you're a truthful guy, but do you have any?
You mean you want me to talk about whether or not the gay frogs are going to be coming down from the interdimensional first beings, and they're going to be poking in your water? And what you don't understand is that when I went to Bohemian Grove and I saw all our politicians eating their babies, that kind of shit.
Dude, that's pretty good. Do you practice that in the mirror?
So I was driving down to Texas in 2019, and I listened to the first time the podcast of him and Joe Rogan that went for hours. And I know when I could do somebody. So I went on air and I'm like, this is Alex Jones from InfoWars. I'm going to be in your town on Thursday, and I would like to see, I need to get a room. Can you have a masseuse visit me? Two things. I need to make sure that she's got very small feet in ratio to the size of her hands, because I know that the government, they can hide radio transmitters in shoes that are big, so I can't have that. It's not sexual in any way whatsoever, but I do need to know that the gay frogs won't. Yeah, I started doing like, holy shit.
Oh my gosh, that's so spot on. That is 100% him. You're even the is in between. It's just fucking spot on.
Dude, he's right about a lot of shit. He has been right about a lot. I can't stand.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, I'm not. You don't have to go to that extreme, but I'm thinking either a conspiracy or something. Is
aliens.
Go ahead.
Aliens are coming 100%. Here's what people only realize. They're going to have aliens pop. You will have people believe that aliens will pop down on the fucking White House lawn, but you're not going to believe there's an imaginary man in the sky and, who's in control of everything. It's going to be aliens or demons. Pay the fuck attention. Read your Bible. They're coming down and they're going to be like, we have the answer for everything. I think that's.
Are they already here?
If you want to think about it, they say that there's 4 angels tied up in the river Euphrates, and there's a lot of biblical stuff that aligns, but at the same time too, I'm kind of torn on that. I think Satan has, I know Satan has dominion over the earth. I think he comes from the ocean, which is why that's 90% of it's unexplored. So there's a lot of shit that I go on down that road.
Yeah. I'm with the alien stance there. I'm okay with that, and I'm not I'm newer to my faith, I guess. So I don't know so much about demons, spiritual warfare, all that stuff. I don't know how. It's just a hard thing to fucking adopt
when it comes to
get into, But no, I'm with you on the aliens part for sure. I'm with you there. So okay, well, I wanted some conspiracy, if you had any, but also. This is polarizing. You're known as somebody that speaks his mind, and you have polarizing positions on very important topics that would get a lot of people riled up. So recently, what have you caught the most heat for? What are the polarizing standpoints?
Police are not fucking friend of the citizen. They are domestic terrorists. And I will tell you flat out that it's no longer a few bad apples. It's a rotten fucking orchard. Sadly, we have cops. How is it 2024? And you still have cops violating people's Fourth Amendment rights. I don't get this. They're on body camera. Everybody's got a fucking camera on their phone. and you have cops who do not know what their job is. And anytime I criticize law enforcement, it's always from a place where I was at too. I went to a class in 2016 or 2015 where it was a use of force instructor class. You know, the first class the instructor taught, there's 30 of us in the room, and he goes, "Show of hands. How many of you have ever said, 'Shut your mouth, you're about to go in handcuffs'?" All of us, hands up. Congratulations. If you followed through with that, you violated the First Amendment right. And we all went, but that's the best threat on the planet. We didn't realize what we were doing. Cops are not trained in the Constitution. They are revenue generators. And if you haven't learned 2020 through 2023, they fucking kicked you out of your fucking village hall meetings. They arrested you for your confronting teachers. They shopping, gyms closed down, gym owners arrested. They all did it to keep a paycheck as well too. And sadly, yes, it is an all thing because blanket across the board, they need to be held accountable. Because you're not going to reap the benefits from one and then not be held accountable by somebody else as well too. It sucks. The cops work for the people. They need to return to the Constitution. They need to understand the Constitution, because I believe that if cops stood up in solidarity in 2020, 2021, 2, 3, and said, we are not enforcing this fuck crap, there would have been no lockdown whatsoever. It's all there.
Well, you know what's funny? I saw your content. This is a few years back, and it was defending police. A lot of it was defending police. And then I saw you kind of pivot, and you're like, you made a video about, no, this is wrong. This is really fucking wrong. And then you've made more of those recently, I think, than you have of defending. Yeah. So do you think that it's because we have, the training is obviously one piece, but do you think it's because there's more shitheads entering law enforcement because there's less good people that want to?
It is. The real guys who are on the street can't talk about shit because department policy prevents it. The candidates you get, law enforcement went to requiring college education. Now, I never had college, but what does a fucking 22, 23-year-old college graduate know about life? These are the yes men and women you put on your street who are violating your constitutional right to bear arms by enforcing fucking red flag laws. You have them. You have them. They don't know how to interact with the public. Just like sales, they have no social interaction skills. Pull somebody over on a traffic stop, and they don't realize that the person's behavior is one thing, but their attitudes and dialogue is another. I put up ask, anybody could do this. Here's a social experiment. Ask a cop friend of yours, or ask somebody who's not a cop, should a cop, or does a cop, do they base the issuance of the citation that they're writing to the driver on their attitude and words? Almost every one of them. Oh, yeah, of course. It's their job that can teach them a lesson. This and that. Are you kidding me? Attitude and words protected by the First Amendment. And it is not the job of the cop to correct the behavior. It's the job of the courts. So we have a very, very, very uneducated, unconstitutionally educated law enforcement out there. And sadly, I'm not anti-cop. What I am is doing what somebody else did for me years ago. Somebody else years ago saw me in a certain type of behavior pattern. And instead of saying, hey, maybe you want to change, maybe you want to do this, maybe that, they looked at me and said, you're a fucking pathetic joke. And I can still see him saying that in my face. And a peer of mine called me a pathetic joke. And I went, I didn't like that. And I took that so personally. And I don't care. It's the only way I know how to convey it. I don't want these cops to fucking lose sight of the honor and integrity they have. It's a relationship with the public. You are never going to be thanked. You're always going to be vilified, criminalized, hated, pitted against the public, and it's a choice every single day to go to work and enforce the Constitution, uphold it, enforce the law, and you choose to do it. That makes police officers better than I am, because I'm not one. But you know what? You can't let that slip. So you have to fucking be the better person. You have to remember who you are.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm 100% with you there too. The accountability piece is massive. I wanted to last thing. I want to circle back for anybody because we got business owners here, and anybody that's listening in. I mean, they can go listen to your stuff. Obviously, you got. First of all, I would just say, like I said, I listen to I listen to your YouTube channels on your MLM side of things, and the sales stuff on there is just you and the whiteboard videos. It's not the fancy shit, but what I realize is people are too distracted by the fancy stuff, and they won't hone in on a whiteboard video that they need.
They're trying to do it. They're trying to play a role. There's nothing here. It's product A. I need to sell product A. What is wrong going, Kris? Hey, I sell coffee mugs. I want you to buy one. What do I need to do to get your business? So if Kris says, I don't know, you got to share 5 pieces of my content and tell everybody to go get me 5 customers, I'm going to buy it. Okay, he just told you what you're going to do. Why is that so hard?
It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But people, I don't know. It seems like maybe they think there's some fancy stuff that they need to know that they don't know. But referrals and reputation-based sales are always the best sales. They close the most. They're the easiest to deal with. So, yeah, I'm with you. I feel like I even took a lot away from this about our sales strategy or even our messaging. So I'm pretty pumped on that part.
Well, how did you get so big? People cared about you. The energy, the people picked up the energy off of Kris Zizzo that he cared. So again, you reeled them in. Sex sells. I'm not gay, but you're a good-looking guy, whatever. So you got him with the fucking we have the piercing blue eyes, and you used it. So you got
there you go, all day.
Eyes, and then the looks, and then you cared. You weren't an asshole on your content, and you were unattainable but relatable, and people knew that you gave a shit. That's why you exploded.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's 100% the truth. We talked about this before. You got to meet people where they're at. If you want to bring them in, I went to church and I stayed at the church that I went to because they were giving a business lecture. They weren't talking about God, right? They were talking business. And then they switched to God over time. They pivot, transition into that message, and it fit. And I'm like, I understand that. Whereas every other church, which we went to one here in Texas, that I just couldn't receive the message. By the way, there was some shit I heard this morning about the priest the pastor there, who's like in some serious shit for something that he did when he was 20, which is something he's like a big name. So when Christina brought it up to me this morning, that's for another podcast. We'll get your opinion on all that stuff. But the reality is they met me where I was at. I was in a business phase. They caught me with a business message, and I was like, how does all this translate? How does it correlate with each other? And I stuck because of it. So, yeah, we talked about that. We'll continue to talk about that. I think you have to meet people where they're at and just be as personal, real, and fucking no bullshit as humanly possible. So you have 3 podcasts. You have, you're like Jesse Lee. I think you also give out your phone number. I'm not sure, but tell us your 3 podcasts, where people can find you. Tell us the big stuff you have coming up, and then give your contact information the way that you want people to connect with you.
The podcasts I focus on the most are the rants of Izzo. And these are all any podcast format. You could find them on their videos as well too. Rants of Izzo. It's a live Monday through Friday stream of consciousness show at 1 p.m. Eastern. We talk about everything from politics to porn. I have the Cop Talk Live, which is changing cop culture. It's a weekly podcast I do live on Thursdays. I have Become War, which is more along the lines of a men's kind of podcast where we take on masculine issues. And the Bull of MLM, Network Marketing Warfare, where I take him on. I take on the anti-MLM community. My goal is to instill confidence in people, but I also hold extreme accountability. Just the same way I do with law enforcement, I do with MLM. If you're in MLM and you're one of those stupid fucking cunts who is dancing all over your shit saying, oh, look, we're having our best life ever at a wine party, and I made 6 figures last week, and you're telling people I am coming after you.
Straight for the neck.
Dude, I don't know. Oh, I retired my husband and I'm on a beach right now. You can't duplicate that. You're a hot fucking blonde who's a size 0 clothes model with double D fucking tits, parading them around. That's why people come to you. Stop.
You're getting sales. You're getting fucking sales.
So dumb. So that's the reality people get when it comes to it. It is simply meet people where they're at, but fucking shine at what you're good at. I'm an introvert. Let's shine at that. Fucking great at, I don't know, polishing shoes. Dude, let's make a YouTube channel about that. Get people on it and then pitch in what you're doing. Find out what you're awesome at and serve people. It's as simple as that.
100%. I feel like you need a course, because if you had a course for sale, I would probably put my team through it and I would go through it. I know I would. I already went through your YouTube course. It was free. So I feel like, maybe we'll get a podcast in the future where that's available to people, because everything that you said up to this point from the sales standpoint is exactly how I built my following. Authenticity, reality, catching people where they're at, and then closing them. It's just a no bullshit close, going in with confidence and making it happen, right? So solid stuff. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
708-982-0974. 708-982-0974. That's me. Text me, call me. Don't leave a voicemail because I never check them, but you can leave a text message. That's me. That's end of story. If you spam me, I will send you nudes.
I'm not even going to shave my balls before I send them to you. They're going to be...
I'm going to be out in the middle of the day causing a fucking solar eclipse with my nutsack for you.
Hey, Dominic, why are those black? What's going on there?
You know, I am civilian.
Oh, shit. What kind of person, though, seriously, this is a testament to who you are. What kind of person gives their fucking phone number out on a public podcast that might be reached by who knows how many? I have a lot of followers. You do too, right? Who does that? Not many people. So if I'm going to work with somebody, if I had any interest in MLM, which I don't right now, maybe down the road, if I ever go broke, I'm calling you, or if I'm on my way there, or if I need some sales training for my team, that's another good option, right? I feel like you could do that very, very well, by the way. I don't know if you've thought about that, but in-person sales training is something that you would crush it at.
I would. You could. That's so I'm not good at that, right? I can sell. I had to learn the hard way to stop giving everything away for free.
Yeah.
But I'm still on that. I want to just, my problem is I get so fucking self-righteous that I think that I can save a fun culture like law enforcement, martial arts, or fucking MLM. So I give the house away for free. Right. Yeah. And that's the problem is my entire YouTube channel, I think I've got like 200 videos on there, and they're between 10 minutes to a fucking hour on each one. And it's like, all right, I'm giving shit away for free because I want people to see that I care. But as we know, people don't value what they don't pay for. So
100%. I was just going to say, we recently increased our prices for our fitness business, right? And that increase led to better quality people and more committed people. Mm-hmm. Better quality as far as personality wise and them just being able to talk to you, and more commitment and better results as a byproduct of more commitment, right? So I guess I say that to back you in saying that, you know, if you created a course or if you did, I know people that coach sales in person and it's pretty mediocre. Mm-hmm. What I got from you on this call is better than their sales training. They're charging $5,000 a pop. I'm just saying.
That's a huge compliment.
We'll talk more about that maybe if you have the bandwidth for it, but because I know some people that could use it. That said, though, who do you know that's giving their number out to you when there's this many people that'll see it, right? Who knows what he's going to receive? So that's just the type of person that I would work with, is someone who I know that's just like, I'm all in on you if you're all in with me. That's the bottom line. So anyway, everybody, this is Dominick, Izzo. Dominick. Not Zizzo, by the way. He's not my dad or my brother. He's fucking handsome and he's got blue eyes, but we're not related, that I know of at least. But Dominick, we appreciate you being on here on the Operators Only podcast. Thank you so much. It's been good. This is a good starting point for us right here. Having someone with no filter. So any last words before we go?
No, I wish you the best. I know that you're going to crush the shit out of this, and anything you ever need, you know to get a hold of me.
Let's go. Right on. Everybody, Operators Only podcast. We're going to be doing this weekly every Thursday, and we might even pick it up to bi-weekly because we have Keith, who's my business partner, also going to be on here. So if you want to join, you could go to podcast.blacklabelarmy.com and you can sign up as a guest. We will vet you. We're not going to take anybody who's got a bitch voice, who's not going to say what they want to say. And we're not going to take anybody who doesn't have some sort of credentials as far as what they're saying. We're not taking the guy that Wes Watson was yelling at in his bitch tits flapping in his face, right? So, but if you're an expert at something, feel free to go there and join. Otherwise, we're going to put Dominick's number up on the screen. We'll put this inside the podcast notes. Make sure you hit him up for sales training. Make sure you hit him up if you're in the MLM space at all. And he has 3 fin podcasts. So if you're anybody with any sort of credibility and recognition in those spaces, hit him up as well because he could use some quality guests. All right. 100%. So thank you guys for joining us. Dominick, thank you so much. And we're out of here. Peace.